host Nelson with Cascade Media Group, and today we have Attorney Stephanie Burton on our show, and what we want to talk to her about because she ran for prosecutor here in Kansas City a couple of months ago, but I know that she will give us a candid view of what the topic is today, and is the justice system broke? That's one question I want to explore, and the other question is, does the justice system work for people of color? First of all, I'd be remiss, Miss Burton, if I wouldn't say happy holidays to you and to your family. Welcome
Thank you.
to
Happy
the show.
holiday. Thank you for having me.
All right. Uh, you want to tell our audience that's not familiar with you a little bit about your history in the legal profession?
Sure. I have been a criminal trial attorney for the last 14 years. I represent people who have been accused of crimes. And I have done that. I did actually just tried my 42nd jury trial and well over 100 bench trials. I'm very familiar with the justice system. I ran for Jackson County prosecutor. I also worked in Wyandotte County as their attorney that handled the conviction integrity unit, looking at cases for wrongful convictions. So I've been in this business a little bit.
All right. So I think you qualified to speak on this subject matter. The first question I asked you was, do you think the overall criminal justice system is broke?
Well, I mean, it really depends on what you believe the goal of the criminal justice system is. And so, if the goal of the criminal justice system is to disenfranchise poor people and people of color and to keep them inhibited, the justice system works very well because that's what it does. But if you have this naive view that the justice system is supposed to promote equality for everyone, that's just not factual. That's not realistic. And then it is very broken.
Tell me this. How do you feel about the current situation as it relates to politics and justice over 2024 political season? You see congressmen, senators being accused of all kind of, from my perspective, heinous crimes, and because of their status and because of their wealth uh, and position, it seems like that doesn't matter to the general public uh, or the justice system. When I'm not being partisan or anything, when I look at uh, President-elect Trump's position at this point, and I don't know how many uh, charges he's had against him over the last couple of years, but all of that's wiped away. So whatever a person does, it doesn't matter. And when you hear of pardoning the people that was involved in January 6th, basically the overthrow of our government, I have to question the justice system.
Well, I mean, I'd love to say that I'm surprised by all of that, but 2024 wasn't a year for justice and accountability in this nation, which is really sad. But am I really surprised? No, because history is the best predictor of future behavior. And we have seen historically where the rich get rich and the poor get prison. It's not about what you know, it's about who you know. And so, am I surprised that a man that was convicted of over 30 felonies can be president? Not in this country, I'm not. It's just that people want to be shocked and they say, well, there was a more qualified candidate. Just because you're the most qualified candidate doesn't mean you're going to win. It is about a political structure, and the political structure is designed to help those who are politically connected. So if you are politically connected, that's your saving grace. You're going to get ahead with that. And if you're not, you're going to get what you've always got, which is disenfranchised and looked over the head. So those of us who have the naivety of believing that we can change a system that has already worked in such a way that they will very quickly beat you into submission and let you know, as it was in the Wiz, you can't win, you can't break even, and you can't get out of the game. They will put you in a position of humility to let you know that this is the way the system works, and that you're either going to fall in line or you're going to get run over.
Well, I guess I must just got a hard head because I don't believe they can run me over. And I say this with all humility that when you build your own and you don't have your hand out and you don't owe any favors, uh, that's a hard thing to do in the system because we're in a matrix. And what was brought to my attention about 5 years ago, the superintendent of the DC public schools, she made a statement and emphasized that this was 25 to 30 years ago. She said the only way you get ahead in America at this point is friendship, kinship, and politics. Merit has nothing to do with it. And if you look at over the 25-year period, what you just discussed about politics and who you know, now that will tear the fabric of society apart when merit has nothing to do with infringe and moving the needle forward for when you spend time and excellence producing, whether it is something from an intellectual standpoint or working hard for 9 or 8 hours a day and don't come away with anything. And I've been involved in the justice system, and I just feel that you really can't even get too many people to talk about the justice system. Before you, I might have talked to every bit of 10 or 15 attorneys in this town, and they wouldn't touch it. And so where I stand is how can you even correct the situation when you do not even want to confront the situation? But yet, most of these people want to say that they have no allegiance, but who feeds you is who you have your allegiance to. And from my perspective, this is Mr. Nelson, you don't even teach your kids who the real enemy is and what this is all about. And we have a failure of leadership in the Black community, especially not just here in Kansas City, but in this nation, to formulate a strategy to empower our community to be able to change policies and to put a strategy together for group economics where we spend our money. And I think that says it all.
Well, excuse me, Mr. Nelson, the concept of, doing what is good for the group, that is a beautiful concept. And that is what you have built your empire on, is what is going to be for the betterment of the community and for the people. Unfortunately, those that are in power in the community, those that have the ability to make the deals, that have the ability to be in the rooms where it happens, so to speak, they don't share that mindset. And if they did share the mindset, you would find that you would have more support for your projects. But the problem is those people who are in power locally and nationally are only doing what is good for themselves. Because as long as they get their bread buttered, they really don't care if the rest of us eat. they will make it seem as if, because then they can get that launch pad, so they can be the token to get the launch pad and say, look, we have a person of color doing this. Look, we have a person of color doing that. But it is a person who is politically groomed to be the yes man to continue the status quo. I don't say that to come with an air of bitterness about it, but if we look at just historically about us being sold into slavery, it was our own people who did that. And so the only way they can keep us disenfranchised is by using our people to do it. Because it is we trust these people thinking that because they look like us, they think like us, and they have our interest at heart. But then when you call on them to assist you in furthering something for the community, they don't have time for that. They don't have money for that, but they have money and time for projects to fund and get and acquire our votes and to get our support and to get our leaning to for the people that are there to hurt us. And it's like it's the wolf in sheep's clothing. It's the velvet glove. We've got the wolf that watches the hen house. When we put these people in place that are acting as if they're working on our behalf, but really they're not. They're our greatest enemy. And I respect those people. Like when people are saying that people are racist, I respect somebody who's my open enemy, that I know I can't trust you. But when I have somebody who pretends to be my friend, and I'm walking into Julius Caesar Senate meeting and I'm getting stabbed by people that I don't expect to be stabbed by, that is unfortunately what we have with our leadership, our quote unquote leadership in our communities, is that they're leading us into a pit. They're not, they sound good. They're educated, they sound great, they look good. However, their motives are only to protect their interests. They're not doing this for us and for the community. They're doing it for them. And that's going to make me sound like the villain for saying it. But I do believe that we should speak candidly about what the problem is. Because if we don't address the problem and we don't call these people out, then we're going to consistently have the same problem.
Well, I tell you this, from my perspective, I've put people on notice, and I'm putting them all on notice that I'm looking at the bottom 2/3 of our community, and for 2025, we're going to be trying to connect with them to inform them. They can't put these people out of office until you get new people into the system. And the bottom 2/3 of our community have not been engaged since 2016, since Obama. And they got engaged when they were informed and felt that was going to make a change in policy. They semi got engaged when this little 90-day quick fix with the vice president, but it was more so our Black females that really led the charge for our overall community. And that is the problem, that our major community where we can get our numbers is the bottom 2/3 of our community, and they are disengaged. But because we do have this media platform, we plan to compose a campaign to get them engaged, not in any specific direction or what have you, but the more knowledge you have, the better decisions you can make. A lot of people think that Mr. Nelson or Cascade wants to lead some revolution and nothing. I'm a media company. All I want our community to do is to be more informed. And when we're producing from A to Z information that can make them see better options for their kids, for their health, for their politics, and gives them an opportunity to speak in their own voice on a network that doesn't say we Black this and we Black that. When you go to our sports network, our business network, our worldwide network, or any of our networks, you see it's just people of color. We are not trying to sell you on our Blackness. And what I see in our community, I wonder when some of these people even go to work. Every day they on the Facebook taking pictures about this and that. And that's the illusion of this leadership. Like they're doing something, but when you look at the hard statistics of the money spent, and I call it out, the current person that won prosecutor, they, from my understanding, they spent about $500,000 on her campaign. Not one dime came to the only black digital media company. And same thing with these other things, with a Freedom Inc. or a Urban Summit or NAACP or Urban League. How can you not support the only black-owned digital media company like ours on the planet? And yet you say you representing black people. And as I said, for 2025, now that we've come into a little financial situation, we will have correspondents covering our political scene much better than Cascade has done in the past, as it relates to which each one of our council people, our county people, and our superintendents, what are they doing that is putting people of color in a better position to change policy and direct our finances? Group economics and block voting is the key to any community's success. What do you have to say about that?
Well, I mean, when we're talking about people and being supportive, I mean, where your treasure is, your heart will be also. And if you ever want to know a person's loyalty, you look at the money, because they have to be beholden to the people who put them in certain positions. And so whoever finances you and puts you into place, then those are the people that you have to owe a duty or allegiance to. And so when we're talking about like our votes, like you're talking about the bottom 2/3 of the community, right?
Yes.
And these what our people have to do is be educated on their own merit because they trust certain groups to give them information. They assume that these certain political groups or these certain organizations, like your urban leagues or your urban summits or whatever, or your Freedom Inc., that they assume that these people have the interest of the community at heart. And so they trust them to give them information. They don't do the research for themselves. They say, well, what is the Freedom Ballot going to say? Or what is this going to say? Or what does this person say? When they haven't even stopped to look at who finances those organizations. Because if they look to see who finances these particular organizations, it's not going to be the bottom 2/3 of the community, but it's going to be labor unions, it's going to be combat funds, it's going to be, and these people want to get hands on these certain things, and they have to control certain offices in order to do that. And so, and when you bring attention to it and you bring it to light, then you become a target. Which is, it's no skin off my back to be a target because I don't have anything for anybody to take.
That's
but,
me too.
Huh?
That's my position too.
Right.
But the thing I'm fortunate is that I really have worked for myself all my life, and so I'm independent from the matrix.
Right, exactly. Because the whole thing is if you do the devil's work, only the devil can pay you. When you are self-made and self-sufficient, then you don't have to pander to the group unless you want something that they have the power to give you or the power to take away. And so when you demean yourself to the point of trying to get what it is you believe they can give you, if they give it to you, they also have the power to take it. And that's the problem that you'll run into. And I can guarantee you this. I mean, you're on the cusp of doing some very big and lucrative things. And when those things come to fruition, they'll be knocking at your door. All of a sudden, they'll have an interest in what you're doing. It'd be great for the community, man, and we want to do this. And it's like, well, keep that same energy because you've always been great for the community. You've always had the vision, but people didn't have the buy-in until they think it's something that can benefit them. And if they would have really been mindful, then they would have looked and seen that if we would have invested into it and built into it, they could have had the benefit of it a long time ago and helped you grow at the same time. But they don't think about that because they want it quick, fast, and in a hurry. And they believe the white man's ice is always colder and that they can sell us at a higher rate, at a swifter rate, by just conforming to these certain group, these certain packs, and everything else. And they do it to the detriment of our people. And so we're the ones that are getting disproportionately prosecuted. We're the ones that don't know the governor or anybody who can give us a pardon. We are the ones that are stuck with it. And then they'll say, oh man, we did everything we could do. It's a shame what happened to you. It is a shame. It's a shame because you trusted these liars to help you in a situation where they never had a good intention in the first place. And that is what's unfortunate. And that's what we see so many times in the justice system, is especially when we're talking about like preachers, for example. That's kind of the Kansas City racket. And I hate to say this because I'm a preacher's kid and I'm an ordained elder.
The truth will set you free.
Yeah. So when we're looking at, certain churches and certain pastors and they have this membership and you're a good and faithful tithing member of the church, and then you come up with a situation and then you go and ask these people for help where you have been putting your money and you have been putting your time and your service, then they say, I'll see what I can do. And I'm going to go do this and I'm going to go do that. And then they fail to deliver, we praying for you. And it's like, okay, but I also need attorney's fees. I also need support. I also need somebody that can help me and give me some guidance. But when it comes time when you're no longer valuable to them, you are disposable to them. And that is the unfortunate truth of where we find ourselves, not just locally, but nationally as well.
Let me say this. I realize that when I lay my credentials out per se, and I say, at one time I came here and I started my company painting for $25 a day. And then I rose to have the second largest general contracting company in Kansas City, renovating the courthouse downtown, Independence, Lake Jacomo Sheriff Station, doing post offices, renovating Milton Moore, C.A. Franklin, Longer. So that experience doesn't register when you talk to Black people about your credentials. I was a founding board member of the Full Employment Council. You don't be in these places and not know how politics and all this stuff work. So when I'm speaking, I'm not speaking from the outside view. All right. Then I owned Goodfellas Pizzeria on 27th and Prospect. This is when New York pizza was first coming out. I could have put that in any shopping center or what have you and made $1 million, but I was always in my community. That went down. Then I have started Cascade Media Group. I was homeless in '08. And I ask people right now, name 10 Black businesses that's been in business consistently since '08. And very few can name 3. The first thing they say is Mr. Gates. And so when you don't even value all of that experience to build what Cascade has become with sports and all of this, there's definitely something wrong with your leadership when they just see cereal. What's the first thing they do? They go and capture the TV stations and the media. And
the control of information and the control of knowledge.
Right. And so that has to be looked at from an intellectual standpoint from the bottom 2/3 of our community, something that can deliver messages right then and inform our community to be able to come together. That's what we're going to be focusing on for 225. The other thing I've said, and you spoke on that a little bit, how does you feel the justice system deal with people of color in general?
So it really, even with people of color, it depends, right? And it's not always so much color as much as it is money, and what you can afford and the representation you can afford. And so where you have certain people who need a Cadillac defense, but they've got a Corsica budget, then they don't get the representation and justice that they deserve. Now, one of the things for me, I take public defender cases, and I give my public defender cases the same representation as I give somebody who came and paid me $25,000, right? Because they get me. They have gotten the Stephanie Burton experience. But unfortunately, we don't have a lot of people that are willing to take those cases on and willing to devote time to them, because what you're looking at is, well, if it's not making me any money, it's not making any sense. And what you have to think about when you're talking about representing people who are disenfranchised, whether that's poor people, whether that's people of color, poor people of color, you have to look at the fact that even though you feel like you've got a bottom line, that what you are doing is representing a person. And, I'm somebody who I've tried more cases than most. I've gotten a lot of acquittals in my career, and I've gotten acquittals for people who paid me a lot and for people who I've been appointed to represent. Because if you think about your gift as an attorney, right? And that's what people have to realize. This is not a profession. This is a gift. This is, for me, this is my gift. This is my ministry. This is what God has called me to do. This is my innate ability to do what I do. And you have to be able to have a passion for it and compassion to be able to do it, especially when you're doing this over time. And so when you are looking at the system in and of itself, what you have to know as a defense lawyer, and even as a prosecutor, who your job is to seek justice, is that if you are representing somebody who has trusted you, you're a doctor of jurisprudence. You're not a medical doctor, but you're a doctor of the law. This person is putting their life in your hands, and they're trusting you because you are supposed to be the person with the knowledge to help them navigate it. And what they get from the justice system a lot of time depends on the quality of the representation that they get. And also in that, you have to be, as a lawyer, you can't be afraid to challenge the judges. Because a lot of people, they don't want, just like we say, lawyers wouldn't touch this issue about whether the justice system is broken, because we all got to go to work. We all have to appear in front of these judges. And thankfully, we have a very good bench in Jackson County. But you also, I tried the case I just got an acquittal on, I was in Central County, Kansas. I was in Wichita. And you can challenge the judge based on the law. And if you're right, and I was right, and the judge barked at me, and then he came back and told me, Ms. Burton, you were right. You can challenge a person because you want the law to be interpreted correctly. And it doesn't do your client any good, because most of us, our clients aren't Donald Trump. They're not Eric DeValkenair. They're not people that have these political connections to where if they feel that the verdict was wrong, they can just go and make a call and get their sentence commuted. We don't have everybody who Britt Reed. We have people, my clients, Tyrone and Paul and Pete, they don't have those connections. I don't have those connections. So all I can do is try to get it right the first time. All I can do is investigate and do my job and try to get it right the first time, because the quality of the representation matters a lot more. Because like I said, I do cases out Wichita, out in Buchanan County. These are places where, there's nothing black in there but me, the defendant, and the judge's robe. And I've been able to get the success, not because they like me, but because I was willing to do the work.
I want to ask you this, because we're going to close out. The governor just pardoned this law enforcement officer. Do you have, and the president pardoned his son, and that's all of that is really what had me pivot to this subject. the guy, I don't know, don't want to not say it right. I don't know whether his name is Matt Gates or whatever, the one that was trying to be Attorney
The
General or
Attorney
something.
General. Uh-huh.
Yeah, and they had done the report on him, and they were obfuscating about should we release the report. No, this is where I say the system is broke. That they do these reports on the Trumps and a lot of the other political people and really know that they pedophiles, rapists, and other heinous crimes, and then they don't release it to the public. And that's the same thing I'm saying on somewhat a local level throughout the nation, that some of the people that are representing or supposed to be representing us, the system know that they rotten.
Of course. But again, it is about who you know and what they get from this person. Because people will cover a lot of things if it's beneficial for them. It's kind of like with R. Kelly. Everybody knew he was touching them girls, but it wasn't until he was no longer useful to people that then all of a sudden he gets prosecuted. So as long as people are getting what they need, justice is subjective to them, right? So sometimes for those of us who are quote unquote nobodies, right? We are just people who are working hard and doing everything we can to survive and to make it. We're raising our families and we're doing our best to just be good people, right? And justice for us means something different than those people who are in positions of power. Because people who are in positions of power, it's about covering up misdeeds. And those who are in positions of power, birds of a feather usually flock together. They don't want those misdeeds to come out because then their sins get laid bare as well. And so, just like they can doing that, like Joe Biden pardoning his son, that wasn't a surprise to me because hell, if it was my son, he'd be pardoned.
Yeah, hold on. I have no problem with that, but don't say you're not going to do it.
Don't be lying about it. Yeah, just say it with your chest. This is my child. I'm going to pardon him.
Hold on. I'm like, he could have done that from the jump. Anybody that has a kid and understand the political situation would understand that, and the hell with the politics. Because they don't have one life. That's how I looked at what he did.
And his other son has passed. I mean, the whole thing is he could have been honest about it. And people would respect you for being honest about it and just saying what the hell it is.
That's where I'm saying with the subject matter that we can have empathy with you, but this is happening on a daily basis in our community.
And exactly. And so the whole thing is with that same vigor that he pardoned his son, he's got to think about all these other men and women. They're someone's child too that has that same heartbreak in their heart.
But from my perspective, they don't care, and this is why I push self-reliance. Block voting, group economics, no matter whether it's a Republican or Democrat, they will come to you about what you can do for their position. And you can't do anything without coming together because both of those strategies require numbers. And the only place we can get numbers from is the bottom 2/3 of our community.
We have the potential as a community to take everything that has been disenfranchised from us. If we would become smart enough to stop selling our vote to the highest bidders. And the whole thing is we're selling it for cheap. Because
I understand that, but again, I'm not into really describing the situation. Everybody knows what the situation is. As I said, 2025 is about informing the bottom 2/3 of our community and see whether that can make a difference when they go to the polls.
Being better them and getting it to take root on good ground.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying. Yeah. And I'm not vote for who you want to vote for, but know the issues. Please. Know what's going on in your school district. Know what's going on with the funds that are supposed to be spent on housing. Know what's going on in general. Information applied is power.
And
And
stop being lazy and just expecting someone else to get the information for you and then trusting what they say. Learn it, because you got to be personally involved. It's just like with parents, right? And we're complaining about schools, but none of us will go to a school board meeting, none of us will go to a PTA meeting, and none of us will go get the information for ourselves. And then we wonder why
but
stuff
you
hits the
can't,
fan.
this is what I'm saying to you. And let me make myself clear. I cannot blame the community. You're in a system that is keeps you busy doing other things to eat besides that. And
Right.
the overall message you have delivered like 5 times is that we trust the people to look out for our interests. And that hasn't happened.
Right.
So, as I said, I see it doesn't happen. The most important thing that you can have in a community is have the ability to communicate with your community. And that's what Cascade is trying to provide. So, with that being said, uh, in 30 seconds, close out what you got to say.
Well, the main thing is please be informed, know your issues, if you're going to rely on someone, rely on somebody that is giving you credible, consistent, credible information that is unbiased. Check the source, check where it's coming from. We have a media group, Cascade Media Group, that reports on a variety of issues. It's a nonpartisan group, and it's just putting the information out there for you to dissect and do what you will with it. But if you're looking at people to make decisions for you, check the motives and check the interests of what it is that they're trying to do. Because it's not about just getting information, but getting reliable and consistent information that you can use to make informed decisions.
Excellent. I'd be remiss because we talked about the different attorneys without saying that Carl Bussey has helped me in the fashion you said that different attorneys help. I'm saying throughout my career, and I've been in a bunch of situations that Carl had got me out of and what have you, and I didn't pay a dime. But I think he done went commercial on me now. He done got into the matrix and he likes that money. But hopefully, you're in the office, and I would consider you attorney for the people. And with that said, when you invest in your community, you're really just investing in yourself.
This is brought to you by Kansas City Business Association, working to improve our community.